Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Tell Me Everything. I'm your host, Danielle Spinelli. I am in a totally different location. So, this is kind of fun. I'm at my friend's house, and we are just filming here because I just happened to come down here. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a podcast recording. Been in our office and jumping on. But, anyways, I have Alex King on with us. He's with 3G at Descartes. Super cool dude. I met him whenever I worked at Descartes, and I think 3G platform. Honestly, I don't really even know very much about it. So, we're going to be learning that together on this one and also just kind of like understanding what managed trans is. And I think it's pretty fascinating on taking your brokerage to the next level. So kind of some cool insight there. We talk about AI, which I know is always a buzzword, but it's always interesting to kind of get people's different take on it. So yeah, let's jump in it.
Tell me everything.
Tell me everything.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining me. How are you, Alex?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, good. It's funny because in case everybody else wants to know, we filmed at Manifest, and because I'm a rookie and don't know how to film, it just didn't work out. So we're having to do a take two of this. So thanks for doing that.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I thought we had a great conversation, but apparently not.
Apparently I deleted it. No, just kidding. Well, I'm so happy you're here. So real fast, if you'll just introduce yourself and then give a little bit of background, kind of like where where you came from and kind of where you're at now.
Sure. Appreciate it. Yeah, so Alex King, currently at Descartes. I'll give you my brief little overview here. I was a logistics supply chain major in school, kind of did the non-traditional route, so I went a little bit later. And after that, I started at Prime Inc., a big trucking company. I worked in brokerage. That was my first foray into the logistics space was as a broker, and we all know how that can be
Hmm.
quite exciting, especially at that time. So anyway, I was there for 7 years. I brokered and then I managed a team. I was a regional logistics manager, and 7 years there. Got hired at 3G, kind of made a transition to the technology space, and basically now sell into the brokerage 3PL shipper space. Descartes acquired 3G about a year ago, and so now we're about a year post acquisition and continuing the journey. So yeah, that's how I got here. 12 years now, I guess, in total in the logistics
In the
world.
industry. Yeah. It's funny being in it I feel like as long as you've been in it for like a decade or right at that, like you get it. Cause if you weren't in it prior to 2020, I feel like you just don't get it because we had to grind and do all the hard stuff because
Yeah.
the market wasn't the way it is like it is right now. And which supposedly I hear it's changing. I don't know. I'm not in the field anymore, but yeah, it was different. It was a grind.
It was a grind, and we didn't have a lot of the tools that we have now. So it was kind of like the epitome of the Wild West in those days. Now there's some things that kind of help mitigate some of that. But yeah, it was some interesting stories and interesting times for sure.
Yeah, it is funny how tech has done tech explosion, especially with us coming onto the tech side. It's like now that we see all the different things out there, like, oh my God, that would have saved my life, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So with 3G, I guess real fast, if you'll kind of just touch on customer base, like what exactly 3G does to make, what's different about 3G, and then we'll jump into some questions I have.
Sure. Yeah. So 3G, transportation management software, primary customer base are going to be 3PLs, brokers, and shippers. You normally non-asset based is kind of I would say our sweet spot. We work with a lot of 3PLs that do managed transportation, some of the more complex planning and optimization and things like that. So I think those are the areas that we generally do really, really well with. Some of the more complexity or just complex situations for 3PLs, brokers, and shippers. And so, yeah, that's kind of the space that we're in. I think that, where we sit in kind of the market, if you've got let's say, just a purely transactional brokerage that is looking to get into the more complex side of the business, I guess. Like, let's say, for example, you've got a customer, you have some lanes as a broker, you're just doing pure brokerage for them. And then they come to you and they say, hey, we want you to do more. We want you to help to take all of our freight. And that's where you kind of get into that managed services or managed transportation model. And that's where we do really, really well. And as we both know from being in the industry, the idea is to say yes to your
Right.
customers, and they come to you and say, hey, we want you to do more, or can you do this? The idea is you can say yes. And so 3G is a platform that's really scalable and kind of helps enable the customers to say yes more, I guess. I mean, and
Yeah.
again, because we support the more complex things, so that's kind of where we fit in.
And I guess so, like more like project management or just simply like almost like as a shipper, like, hey, I don't even want to handle my logistics stuff. Here's the orders and you guys do whatever, or how I guess dumb that down for me because I'm an idiot.
Yeah, so I would think of it like this. Let's say this is what managed transportation is and something that 3G would actually handle, like an actual use case. A customer, XYZ shipper, comes to you as a broker or 3PL, and they say, we're going to give you all of our freight. You handle it. And it's going to be like not clean. They might not be
Yeah,
loads. They might just be orders. For example, an order could be, it's just a quantity of something that needs to ship. It could be a pallet, could be a load, could be 10 pallets. And so the shipper comes to the 3PL and says, we want you to handle all this. If you think about it,
gotcha.
a broker's not going to know what to do with that. Just a strictly truckload broker. They're going to say, well,
Right.
what do I do with that? We do on the 3G side, and what a managed service or managed transportation 3PL does is they say, great, we'll take all that. And they simplify it for the shipper because the idea is they're managing, and that's where the term managed transportation comes from. They're managing the shipper's transportation, and they might take those orders, they throw them into 3G. I mean, there's more to it than that, of course. But in simplest terms, they put them in 3G. 3G looks for like, how can we build these into multi-stop loads?
Mm,
Is there a pooling point? Can we, instead of shipping all these direct, what else can we do that makes more sense? Whether it's again building multi picks, multi drops, pooling points, consolidation, and looking for ways of saving money. So as a 3PL, you're going to your shipper saying, absolutely, I'll take the freight, I'll handle it for you. And you've got whatever arrangement with them on the financial side. And then your goal, of course, is to move that as cheaply as possible on the best carrier possible. And that's where the system allows you to do the consolidation and kind of build that logic in. Does that dumb it down?
gotcha. No, that definitely dumbs it down. That helps me a lot. Yeah, because I think it's interesting. Like you said, saying you can never say no to a customer. Like if they say, "Hey, will you do cross border?" You're like, "Sure, I'll figure it out." Right.
Exactly.
And so I think it's knowing how to figure it out, and then something I think that's interesting, kind of as you're bringing all this up, is like once you get into that space. Like I was just meeting with Wiseload the other day, and they were talking about like overdimensional freight. Like I wouldn't even know how to start with overdimensional freight. I wouldn't even know about escorts or anything like that. So like having a tool that kind of walks you through on how to do everything so that I don't have to necessarily learn everything, or I learn as I go and a tool helps me. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and if you think about it, like if you're a broker and everyone's looking to grow and expand and get more market share and get more of their customers' freight, you're more sticky. It's kind of good for
Hmm.
everybody. But if you're trying to do any of this consolidation or any of the managed transportation, it might work okay for a little while on like Excel sheets or doing it manually. But eventually, if a customer says, hey, here's 1,000 orders, 10,000 orders, we want you to work with this. And I mean, you just
Yeah.
reach a point where it's like you cannot, and they know that. So that it's kind of a balancing act of when you're let's say you're a strictly truckload broker getting into managed transportation, you got to get the system that supports that stuff in place, ideally
Hmm.
before you take that business. So it's a balancing act of you don't want to turn the freight down, but you also don't want to take it and not know what to do with it or how to manage it,
Right.
and handle it. So
Yeah. You don't want to fail right off the bat, and then you lose it all
right,
right
exactly.
away. Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to a broker, and they were saying that some of their agents actually still have like whiteboards all over the walls, and that's how they literally move a load from here to here to here. Some of you didn't, they have a TMS even, but that agent at their brokerage don't want to use it. And so kind of like going back to what you were saying earlier about having how tech has changed. Like imagine like having to still do things like that. And then now we have tech that just kind of does everything for us. So I know I kind of nerd out over all the tech and being like, oh,
Oh,
this is cool how it can integrate with this and it can do this. And this is cool. And what if we did this? And yeah.
I've always been a tech techie type of person, and I think we're in a really cool, just a really neat time right now in this space specifically. Obviously, the broader world as well, but with AI and all the just neat tools that are coming out, and I think it's awesome.
Yeah, me too. I think it's gonna be really interesting. So now that 3G got acquired by Descartes, as I know coming from Descartes as well, is it kind of opens up a whole another level of different services, especially with I'm assuming with 3G, there's a lot more connections than even other TMSs that Descartes had. So kind of how has that been and like the integrations and like how has that expanded the product and stuff like that?
Well, let's see. We're a year in, so there's been a lot of changes. I think it's really kind of a neat and awesome spot to be in, like as a customer and as an employee, because before we had 3G, like that was more or less it. Now
Right.
we wrap in visibility and we can wrap in onboarding and monitoring. And there's really tight integrations between the products. So I think I think that's really awesome. So now instead of solving one problem, we can solve many problems within one suite of connected products. And that's only going to grow and expand. So I think that's really cool. And more to come, of course, too, on the integration.
Right. Yeah, I know for me, it was almost a fun sales cycle. It wasn't like and not that TMSs are ever, I think TMSs are the hardest thing to sell, by the way. Like that's so complicated. But so on top of that, I guess, making a complicated sales process, but then also adding on other products. But I think it makes you more sticky and keeps everything at one spot. Like I know whenever, customer wise, it makes things a lot easier. And then, like you said, having things tightly integrated. I mean, we're at the point now where if you don't have a good integration with somebody, you're bound to fail.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think it's kind of a win-win. It's a win for us because, yeah, we are more sticky, but it's a
Hmm.
win for the customer because again, you're checking many boxes with one vendor and
Right.
they're all interconnected. So it's just from a user experience, having kind of a one-stop shop, if you will, I think is an excellent value prop.
Yeah. So the AI piece that I know Descartes adding in, from what I know, is macro point is kind of the biggest piece that's jumping in. Do you have any like information on that and kind of what's coming out, or is there anything coming to 3G that's doing AI? Or
Not yet. I mean, it's in the works on the 3G side. I think the agentic AI and macro point that's that's a super exciting
uh
right now that we're adding in. We've got several different agents that have different functions and are enabling us to track more loads and things that weren't being tracked before. So that's super exciting stuff. And I mean, I think just broadly, Descartes doing a ton with AI, and we are definitely heading that direction with 3G. AI is going to
yeah,
be a huge focus for us, 3G, but also just Descartes in general.
yeah, because I feel like whenever AI first came out, that was basically the first use case was track and trace. Like every single AI company out there, that was the first thing they did was track and trace. And I know a lot of people were like, "When is McAvoy going to do it?" But now they have, and so I think it's pretty cool that they're up to speed. But I think taking your time by doing it means that they like the language learning model type thing and making sure that your data is safe. And because that's kind of another thing, like now that I'm on like a partnership end, I was talking to our team and I'm like, it's kind of scary, like giving let's say like we had a mutual customer and I'm giving you all the data for that one mutual customer. Well, your AI bot's learning from that customer and then sharing the data over. So like, what's the point of other customers signing on and getting our data? You know what I mean? Like if it's not handled correctly, it can be scary kind of. So,
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And that's kind of where with the macro point and AI, the AI piece, the security is super important. And
mhm,
so it's like if you're a broker and you're wanting to build your own, you've got there's just so much to consider there. Whereas we've got all these things built in already. The securities there. And that's another point with you were asking about AI and 3G. It is coming, but we're not just adding AI to products to say that we've got AI in products. We're adding it where
yeah.
it makes sense. We're adding it where it's only adding it when it's secure and when there's value to be had from it. So there's a lot of really neat things to come there.
Well, yeah, and I think like thinking it through is huge, and that some people honestly aren't doing that. It was funny. I saw something the other day where it was like a TMS that's listed. It's the exact same TMS, but it says like TMS.ai or something else. I can't remember the exact name, but basically they just added AI to the title, and but it's the same product. It's like, oh, I thought this was a different product, but it's not. So I think it's kind of interesting how that buzzword has gone out there and you kind of see it like peak up and then it's kind of flatlining, I think, a little bit. But now it's kind of when like the heavy hitters are coming in and be like, okay, we fully understand. A lot of like the big boys out there in tech, I think, are just now kind of coming around to it. But there's a reason for that.
And it's a topic of every sales cycle. There's definitely conversation around AI, whether it's what's your AI strategy, they're looking at incorporating it in. Because I've had a lot of customers of mine that are like, are you guys integrated with, XYZ AI company or an AI product that handles this part of the thing? And so
Mhm.
it's, I don't know. It's really cool though. I think the AI piece is it's exciting.
Yeah. So here at when now that I switched over to Genlogs, they are a Google suite, and then now I have a Mac, which by the way, like my brain is blowing up because I'm like all this new tech, and I can't like I can do one new tech at a time, but I'm like literally overwhelmed. But anyway, so because Gmail doesn't have like an app through Mac, which is crazy, I'm like trying to use different, there's like AI companies that handle your email suite. So I'm like, okay. And I'm on like number three already. And I'm like, I can't find one that just does all the things I want it to do. But I think that's kind of cool with AI is like you can kind of test it out and see what, different products are out there. And I think as a tech company though, same thing. Like you guys would test stuff out, dev team would test stuff up in the backside, like, oh yeah, this makes sense, or like, yeah, this is making things a lot worse. Let's switch it up.
I think the velocity at which these AI tools and like it just moves so fast. I mean, what you're
Yeah.
just talking about the email, there's probably going to be another product next week
Oh
or the
yeah,
week after.
totally.
So that's pretty neat.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. It's very interesting. Well, super cool. I know everybody always hears the buzzword of AI, but I just had to bring that up.
Yeah, it's
So
kind
yeah,
of. Go ahead. Sorry.
go ahead. No, you're good. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say AI. I kind of look at it like I think it's like a force multiplier, and I think a lot of people are recognizing that, and that's why I think it's become uh, such a huge buzzword is because now, like I was saying with the velocity, there's these AI tools that are coming out that can handle a lot of the mundane things that people were like non-revenue generating, just kind of admin type tasks. An AI tool can handle that, and then that you allows your team to then reallocate people to go after new business or
Yeah.
whatever it is. So that's why I just think it's pretty cool.
And I guess I'm imagining with 3G, I mean, if you're putting in orders and it's having to think of like, okay, yeah, this stops makes sense, or hey, we actually can consolidate these two and then just have a local run here or whatever. That's at least what I'm assuming it does. With that, really, it's not really AI that would do it; it's automation, and I think that's a big thing too, where a lot of people say it's AI, but it's automation. That's not the same.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, there's basically a bunch of logic that's built in the background could you call it AI? Probably. But,
Yeah.
but no, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's just parameters and things that, are your business requirements that kind of sit in the background. And before a load is created, it's kind of cross-checking to make sure that it's building the things based on your parameters.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And there's not a lot of platforms I think that even handle things like that, from what I know, anyways. But I don't know all the things, so what else?
I don't know the
Well,
things
cool. I know we're just here. It's all good. Well, cool. Well, I know. Hate to cut everything short. I know we're kind of running short today, and thanks for retaping this. I really apologize for all that, but I appreciate your time. Real quick, if you'll just say kind of how everybody can reach you, how everybody can reach 3G, and all that.
Yeah, so you can reach me at my LinkedIn. Try to be as responsive as possible there. You can also check out the Descartes website. I think we just are in the process of bringing over the 3G site over there. So there's more to come there, and there's some really good information on our website. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions, or if you need any help with TMS or anything in the Descartes suite.
And manage trans. I think that's super
Manage
interesting.
trans.
If
That's right.
you get a customer that asks you about it, it's like, what do you do? Call 3G, right?
That's
That's what you
right.
do.
And that's such it's a growing area, and like not to go back into that, but
No, it's fine.
it is a natural evolution as a broker to then like that's just a natural evolution that a lot of brokers take. So, and that's where again we kind of fit in and have the product to support that and the people, I
Well, I
think.
think, yeah, and I think that would be kind of fun. Like you get to the point as a broker where you're kind of like, oh my gosh, same lows over and over and over again, and like this and that. Like it almost makes your daily life more interesting because you get to add on more, and kind of like we were talking about with the sales cycle of adding on more products with you as tech as a broker. It's like I can add more things and make my sales cycle more fun. So yeah, very cool.
Yep, exactly.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hopefully this one recorded.
I know. Bye, everybody.